Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know It, the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. Well, the One Big Beautiful Bill, as it was so-called named, stalled Friday when 5 House Republicans sided with Democrats in the House Budget Committee and voted against merging and advancing the budget reconciliation bill. The package, meant to extend and expand on the 2017 tax cuts, also includes provisions to improve the farm safety net while cutting spending on programs such as $880 billion from Medicaid and roughly $300 billion from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The bill failed to advance in a vote of 16 to 21 vote in the House Budget Committee. Friday afternoon, it was unclear what the next step would be in negotiations among House members, but the Budget Committee was expected to meet again last night. The initial plan had been to get the bill dubbed the One Big Beautiful Bill on the House floor yet this week before Memorial Day. The task of the House Budget Committee under the reconciliation process is to mesh together bills from as many as 11 other committees in the House, including the tax cut package from Ways and Means and the Farm Bill package with nutrition cuts from the Ag Committee. While Democrats remained unanimous in opposing the budget package for cuts to the program such as Medicaid and nutrition, conservatives who rejected the bill oppose it because they say the bill doesn't cut federal spending deep enough. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Dry here to start the week across the Buckeye State. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio forecast update. We've got some moisture building to our west across parts of Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, even a little bit into southern Indiana, but I think your Monday turns out partly to mostly sunny and dry in all of Ohio. That big weather system to our west really kind of tightens up, develops and organizes quite nicely overnight tonight, and through tomorrow we see that surge of moisture push through. I'm looking for on again, off again scattered showers tomorrow morning through midday, afternoon, and evening. I think we see a lingering batch of moisture and a lot of cloud cover through Wednesday. 2-day rain totals right now, I'm going to put it 1/4 to 1 1/4 inches. Coverage 100% of the Buckeye State. Clouds will try and break up on Thursday, but it's with much colder air trying to come in, so we're chilly Thursday and stay cool Friday as we try and start to dry down. The weekend is warmer for the holiday. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday both looking pretty nice. We do see a little bit of instability Monday night into Tuesday, may trigger a few pop-up showers over parts of lower Michigan and northern Ohio, but I don't think it's a wide-ranging or widespread event. And then the rest of next week, that last full week of May, looks wide open and dry to me. Good sunshine, warm air, humidity values creeping up by the end of the week, just in time for another frontal boundary to try and sweep through the 31st into the 1st. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's find out more about getting nitrogen out of the soil and ways that new chemistry can help with that. Here's Rita Frazier.
Rita Frazier in to talk product and what's going on in the fields across the country. Exotic technology lead agronomist John Squire is with us.
Now we get a chance to work with Envita. That's been great.
Tell us more about the product.
Envita has the ability to form a symbiotic relationship with a crop. And it's not unique to any one crop, the spectrum of crops. So whether you put it on corn or soybeans or alfalfa or wheat or sorghum, and the list can go on, the bacteria is what fixes the nitrogen. And by fixing, I mean converts nitrogen in the air to a form the plant can use. So fixing nitrogen is not new to plants, but it is new to non-legumes. And this bacteria has the flexibility of being applied either through the leaves or through the roots onto the seed as it germinates. Anyhow, the bacteria goes into the plant multiple ways, then convert the nitrogen in the air and make that available to the crop. So I look at it. One is filling in the gaps. Two, Envita offers a third source of nitrogen. So we have fertilizer nitrogen that most farmers will put out. We have soil residual nitrogen that's in the soil that becomes available through biological processes. I won't go into that. So you have those two sources. And then a third source is the symbiotic relationship with that plant. to fix nitrogen and make it available. And this nitrogen that's fixed, because it's inside the plant, is not subject to leaching or lost through typical processes of fertilizer nitrogen. It's a great sustainable practice to make that available to the plant.
It's John Squire with Azotic, AZOTIC. You can go to their website, azotic.com.
And thanks, Rita. Oil futures steadied Friday morning after comments by Iranian officials cast doubt on the alleged progress made in negotiations with U.S. delegation in Oman. U.S. President Trump on Thursday hinted at possible Iran nuclear deal, which would likely see the removal of some sanctions on Iranian oil trade and bring back several 100,000 barrels per day in additional supply to the market, causing prices to drop. Iranian foreign minister denied reports of receiving a written proposal from the U.S. According to a report by Bloomberg, the minister saw many opposing and contradictory positions from the U.S. delegation. This stood in contrast to comments made by U.S. President Trump on Thursday. The potential return of Iranian barrels added to oversupply woes caused by global economic slowdown and OPEC Plus opening the spigots. The International Energy Agency, in its most recent oil market report published Thursday, projected global oil demand to slow from 990,000 barrels per day in the first quarter to 650,000 barrels per day during the remainder of the year. At the same time, global supply is now expected to rise even faster given OPEC's commitment to roll back output curbs. The forecasted growth in global supply this year, now at 1.6 million barrels per day, is more than twice the anticipated demand growth rate at 740,000 barrels per day. Back with more after this. Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
Many drugs, like cocaine, methamphetamine, and non-prescription pills, are often cut with dangerous opioids like fentanyl. As a result, nearly 14 Ohioans die daily from unintentional overdoses. That's why it's important to carry naloxone, such as Narcan, a life-saving medication that blocks the effects of fentanyl and other opioids. Over the last 5 years, naloxone has saved over 83,000 lives. Help save lives and visit naloxone.ohio.gov to learn more and find free naloxone. Remember, if you see an overdose occurring, always call 911.
As you invest your time and resources into another planting season, the Ohio Soybean Council is right there with you, investing in the future of your farm. Your checkoff contribution helps the Ohio Soybean Council drive demand for every bushel of beans grown right here in Ohio. Whether it's through new product innovations or expanding into new markets, they work on your behalf to ensure a profitable future. Because the only thing better than growing soybeans is selling soybeans. Visit soyohio.org to see all the ways the Ohio Soybean Council is invested in your future. That's soyohio.org.
Couple updates from the calendar. We'll see the folks at Farm Credit on Wednesday, getting an update on their monthly check-in. Also on Wednesday, splitting directions here, we're going to be in Harrod, Ohio for our week number 3 winter of Feeding Farmers in the Field. Lots going on. And check out our website at ohioagnet.com. You can meet the family from last week's Feeding Farmers in the Field. And by the way, just remember, he has all of his corn and beans in, and maybe some of the best wheat I've seen so far this year. Also, the Ohio Ag Council's inductees for the Ag Hall of Fame. You can find out more about them. There's an article about managing forages, and you want to check that out given the drought last year and how things are growing this year. By the way, I was down at Mom and Dad's in a couple of the fields down there, and the hay at that point pretty much waist high. I'm 5'10", so that gives you some indication, and a good portion of it already going to head. So I think if weather would permit, a lot of guys would get into the hay fields. Also, there's a story from the Ohio Department of Agriculture, and again, check all that out at ohioagnet.com. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mostly lower on Friday. The only place that we saw a little bit of green on the screen was in some of the outside ag markets. Mostly we were looking at a steady to unchanged number on soybeans, with corn and wheat lower. The market last week was very, very fixated on biofuels and the situation there. Beans were down super hard last week. Bean oil went down the limit at least one day and tried to test expanded limits the following day. Does this lead to a longer-term scenario? I don't know. We're going to be seeing the market try and react early on this week, but I have seen no additional news or activity on the biofuel side of things come out. Now, the trade situation continues to be interesting. One of the main headlines that I saw late last week into the weekend was the Trump administration starting to admit there's no way they are able to get through all of these individual trade deals that want to get done. Countries that have reached out and said, look, these reciprocal tariffs that you put into place, we're willing to make a deal, we'll come to the table, but there's so many of them, over 100. There's so many of them, you can't get them all done. And the Trump administration may just pick on, well, when the 90-day moratorium is done, they may just pick, hey, here's your new number, deal with it, live with it. That could be kind of interesting. I don't think the biggest ag partners are going to be succumbing to anything like that, but the ripples that come through other channels may be significant. So watch for trade to be a story this week. The other thing here, watch for the crop progress report. We have made good progress last week in spite of some strong to severe weather to finish the week and go into the weekend. This week we have a very strong storm complex coming out of the Great Plains, moving through the Corn Belt. Everybody should get some rain, so maybe that slows the planting progress a bit, but it's also going to help greatly a lot of crops that are in the ground that are starting to cry for moisture. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. We'll take a look at the overnight figures after this.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, July corn up 0.5 cent at $4.44. December unchanged at $4.35.5. March also unchanged at $4.50.5. The July beans are down 1/4 cent, trading $10.49 3/4. November down 3/4 at $10.34 3/4. And January down 0.5 cent at $10.46.5. The July wheat is up 2.5 at $5.27.5. September $5.41.5, up 2.5. Carried out clear to December, you're up 2 at $5.62 3/4. In livestock, June cattle up $1.05 on Friday at $212.22. August up 90 cents, closing $206.75. And October up $1.30 at $203.97. Hogs somewhat mixed, with June down 37 at $100.32. From there higher, July up a nickel at $104.17. August $103.62, up 27. The August feeder cattle up $1.77 at $297.60. September up $1.65 at $296.27. And October feeder cattle up $1.37 at $293.90. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.